things up.
3 parts.
If you haven't been here, over the past several weeks and months, been talking about how to grow Toastmasters clubs. If you're new to Toastmasters, Toastmasters clubs is a challenge every club has. If you think of any club you belong to or any club you want to develop or build, whether it's a club like a meetup group or just any other club, how do you get people to come to your club? Huge issue. But even a huger issue is how do you get people to return to your club over and over again. All Toastmasters clubs face this challenge. How do you get people to come? How do you get people to come back? Well, in addressing this challenge, it helps to think about why do you come to Toastmasters and come to a Toastmasters club? Probably, you're like most people and come to a Toastmasters club to become a better speaker, right? Exactly. Come to become a better speaker. So it makes sense if you want people to come back to your club, then you want to help them to become better speakers. So what's so special about Toastmasters? What happens in Toastmasters that doesn't happen other places? Well, one thing that happens in Toastmasters is not about the speech, because you can speak anywhere. You can speak at a Rotary Club, you can speak at the street, it really doesn't matter. You can speak anywhere you want. But in Toastmasters, something very special happens. You finish your speech, you're thinking, how did I do? What do I need to work on? Right? And you wait there a little bit, you stew over these questions, and finally, the evaluator comes up, and you get that feedback. And then you think, that's how I did it. And maybe ate all that. And, ooh, okay, next time with a little better there. And you complete that speech. You get a complete sense of how the speech went. There's kind of how you thought it went, but once you get the evaluation, you get a much better sense of what you actually did, right? So the evaluation completes the speech. Tying this all together, it means if you want to grow your Toastmasters club, you want to grow your evaluations. The better evaluations you have, the more people come to your club. The more people come to your club, the more people you have, the more better speakers, the better evaluations you have, and so on and so on. The evaluations grow your club. And growing your club and growing your evaluations is about GROW, a 4-step process, which some of you have heard about a lot. And I'm going to recap. First is to get your audience's attention. Because in an evaluation, as you'll see shortly, you speak to the audience. There is a written feedback form in the book that Toastmasters has, which is great. That can go to the speaker. It's fine. But when you're talking to the audience, you want to get your audience's attention because not only the speaker benefits your feedback, the audience benefits your feedback. So if the audience is aware that, hey, this is something for you too, then they pay attention, they focus in. Get your audience's attention. That's step G. Then R, recognize their abilities. You want to recognize the abilities of the speaker. Very first thing you do, because you get courage from knowing your strengths. You get courage from knowing your strengths. Once you understand what your strengths are, that gives you the courage to continue on, continue speaking. If the very first thing you hear was, nice try, would you want to get up and speak again? You want to get back there on stage? Well, Barbara would. Maybe the rest of you are into that sort of thing. Most people wouldn't want to get back on stage after that experience. So as the evaluator, your goal is to encourage people to get back on stage. Encourage people to get up and to get speaking. So recognize their abilities, and that gives you the courage. Because then they know what their strengths are. You get courage from knowing your strengths. And many Toastmasters clubs just stop there. And that's pretty much it. They say, here's really great things you're doing, just keep those up and you'll be fine. The problem is that if you continue doing what you're doing and you do nothing else, nothing changes. And if nothing changes, you can't develop. You can't get better, right? So there has to be, opportunities for improvement. Opportunities for improvement. There has to be some idea about how do you get better. Otherwise, you just remain at a level. And no matter how good a speaker you are, if you get no feedback on how to improve, eventually your abilities start to fall off without you realizing it, probably without your audience realizing it, because you aren't developing. And if you aren't developing, you're getting worse. So there have to be opportunities for improvement. That's the O step. That way you can develop step by step by step. And each step you take makes you a little bit better. Each small improvement you take adds up to big improvement over time as a speaker. So that's GRO. If you've been keeping track, you know there's one more letter. Probably guess which one it is. W, thank you. Good guess. Exactly what I was thinking it was going to be. Exactly where I was going. We're in sync. We're together here. W. And W is the final step and the one that most evaluators will leave out. W step is important because that's where you wrap it up. Wrap it up. Without the W step, evaluations can tend to go on long and long and long and long. And if they get too long, you're just praying for the person to finish. Now, have you ever heard an evaluation or a person like that who can't wrap it up? And you get these false conclusions and you're thinking, maybe it ends here. No, maybe it ends here. Oh, please, Lord, let it end here. Wrap it up. Most important thing, because you wrap it up powerfully, you get that image, you get that picture to stick in the audience's mind, because last things last. Last things last. The very last thing you say lasts in your audience's mind. It sticks in your audience's mind. It's there all the way through. And because it lasts, it has that power. And the thing that most lasts and you want most to stick for the speaker is something that's been missing through the entire speech. So far you've been talking everything out there. You've been talking about the audience. You've been talking about people out there. You've been talking, focusing your attention out there about get your audience attention and using the you, connecting with the audience. There's one thing missing the speaker doesn't yet have, and that is, how did the speech make you do, think, or feel? We talked about at the very beginning, the point of the speech is so important. There has to be a point to your speech. And it's important to know that the audience gets that point. So at the very end, you want to say, here's how the speech affected me. Here's what I now can do different. Here's how I now feel different. Here's how I now think different. Because speaking is a transformational process. Ideally, you start one way when you hear the speech, before you hear the speech. And then you hear the speech, and afterwards, you're changed. No matter how good or how bad the speech is, by listening to the speech, by getting that new information, by hearing that new stuff, it changes you, it transforms you, it opens you up, it makes you into a different person. The speaker needs to understand, how did that transformation occur? And how did it transform you? So wrap it up with a wow. The wow part is where share really impacted the speaker. It really impacted you about the speech. Now, you might be thinking, Tim, this is a lot of stuff. And it's kind of complex, and frankly, I don't like my club that much to really go through all this sort of thing, so I'm not going to bother with this. I'm just not going to do it because, you know, it's a lot of work and it just doesn't matter to me. And that's fine. If you want to let your club remain at the same level, that's fine. You want to make sure that speakers of ability and strength don't want to come to your club, that's great. You want to make sure that people who really can speak well avoid your club because they're not getting the feedback they need, no problem. You'll have a fun club, everybody will kind of agree with everything, everybody will kind of remain at the same level, and over time, probably you will kind of collectively lose your abilities. But that's okay, it's all right. However, if you want to have a club that encourages and develops your speaking growth and other speaking growth, then grow your evaluations. If you want to have a club that effectively helps people to develop and build their skills, grow your evaluations. If you want to have a club that effectively empowers people and attracts great speakers from wherever they are, and people say, wow, have you heard about that club? They're just fantastic. You go in there, you get great feedback, you feel like coming back again and again. You want that sort of a club to grow your evaluations. And over time, you discover that growing your evaluations helps you because it makes you stronger, more powerful. It gives you the courage and the ability to kind of take charge of the room. When you stand up there and speak, you're in charge of that room. And the more you learn about growing your evaluations, the better you are in charge of that room, the more respect you get. And if you're in business, if you're giving presentations normally, this respect, cultivating this sort of style of speaking, will really help people to notice you and pay attention to you. It's something that doesn't waste a lot of time. A lot of times you're going through and trying to figure out how to evaluate it. It's a time-consuming procedure, and you don't have that much time in Toastmasters to do an evaluation. So the faster you can get it done, the simpler you can get it done, the better off you are, because you aren't wasting time. So growing your evaluations, it shortens that process, the time it takes to do it. And it's a step-by-step process. What could be simpler? GROW. You simply follow the process, and as you follow the process, you become better and better at doing that evaluation. And as you go through and you follow the process, you discover that you start to enjoy being up here. It's fun being up here. All that nervousness, that scariness fades away. Yes, I know you don't believe me. It can be fun up here. It really can be. And as you start growing your evaluation, you open up to your audience, you open up to opportunities. So, to grow your club, grow your evaluations, and growing your evaluation grows you.
I really liked the passion that you showed us. You showed us that you were passionate about what you were talking about, and you showed us that you knew exactly what you were talking about, and you knew how to present it, so that made you look 20 times smarter and 30 times more efficient. So overall, it was very well constructed. There were little choppy parts here and there about organization, and there were some word choices that you could have changed, like huger. Huger is not really a catchy word, so you might want to catch those next time. And the last that wasn't that was supposed to be a hook, but it didn't grip me. It didn't resonate with me.
I really enjoyed your speech about grow your club. And you brought out some very interesting points, how important it is to give a good evaluation. It'll make the person leave with a good feeling, and you always offer some very good ideas how they can even get better. And so I think that's important. You don't want to throw daggers, you know, during this time, you know. So throw all those lovely suggestions where they can really grow. And I'm so glad that you're on this path of growing our club. Tim Wilson.
The title of your speech was Conclusion, and I like that simple premise, and it's been interesting. I haven't seen all of your speeches, the 4, I think there were 4, right? There was one for, there's 5. Oh, okay. But I thought it was, for the 3 that I've seen, it was a good conclusion. And it did tie together all these different ideas that you've brought in each week during each speech. It's a simple premise, but I thought there was a lot of complexity to the content, and that really kept me very engaged and thinking. My mind would sort of wander a little bit because I was kind of getting very involved in the content and what you were doing with it. Yeah, there were some really nice points to it. You used a lot of nice repetition. You would say a sentence and then repeat it for emphasis. There was nice phrasing. You paused frequently in between sentences, and that gave me the opportunity to catch up and digest all the concepts that you were bringing in. You had good humor and good interaction with the audience. You know, we were kind of interjecting and commenting and laughing, and that made it more entertaining and fun. And you have a lot of good facial expression, which I think keeps people engaged.
I'm a compulsive note taker, so I spent most of my time just writing notes about what you were saying, as opposed to what I was supposed to be doing, which was evaluating what you were speaking. But I did notice that the sound of your speech is very good. It's very professional. You know, you have a good flow. You can tell that that you know what you're doing. You're not rambling like I am. And that you have good animation and good gestures. And I like your use of humor. That definitely kept drawing me back in, because I was compulsively writing. I'm like, oh, I missed that last bit because I have to write every word because I'm nuts like that. And so yeah, the humor definitely kept me like a little tap, like stay in there, keep listening. So it's good to have humor. I always like having humor in people's speeches. So.
Tim, what does R stand for? What does R stand for?
Recognize their abilities.
Recognize. Thank you. When I joined this club for the first time, I participated in roundtable evaluations, which we never did in our home club. And after a couple of meetings here, people saw the change. They sign up. You are doing great evaluations. You must be doing something. And I told them I am attending this club, and they give an opportunity to do evaluations to everybody. So evaluations are very important. Personally, I grew a lot because it improves your listening skills. You are forced to listen because you have to do the evaluation at the end of the speech. So evaluations are so important, not only for your own personal development, but also you can give a great feedback to the speakers, and also give them your views about their opportunities to improve their speech. So Tim did a great job. He used the word grow, and he explained how better evaluations not only grow your club, but it grows yourself and all other members. So it's beneficial to the speaker as well as all other members. The purpose of evaluation is not to just tell good things about the speech, but also give some feedback on how they can grow, how they can do. You can do it in a very professional way, so that it doesn't hurt their feelings, speakers' feelings. And they have to believe that you have their best interest in your heart. You want them to develop. That's why you are giving this comment, not because you want to burn them down as purpose. So it's So the last thing Tim said, to wrap it up powerfully with something with a great thought, which is going to stick in the speaker's mind. So Tim did a great job. He's always very motivational and he gives very good tips giving speeches. I personally benefited a lot, and this is one of the speeches that I really going to remember and practice. With that.